Welcome to the FSC podcast. Here's Avery, PJ, and Nick.
League office is now in session. Hello, everyone. My name's Avery. I'm joined by my fellow front office members, Nick and PJ. We also got friend of the pod, Matt the Hat, for the first time. This is a fantasy sports concierge podcast. Takes the hat off as soon as I call him the Hat, where we talk sports, fantasy sports, league management, whatever else we get distracted by over the next 45 minutes or so. A lot of those distractions are going to come from Matt. This episode, we're going to do some news. We're going to talk about off-season moves, which players had the most fantasy value created or detracted from them over the offseason, and then we're going to talk some draft strategies. To start off with the news, we're going to talk about Sean Payton, and he just got a new 5-year contract from the Broncos on top. He was in the last couple of years of his contract. Nick, was this a good move for the Broncos?
I mean, ever since he took over the team, he's just continued to increase their record. They had an incredible defense, but as far as what they have going on offense, they don't have the most flashy team out there, and he still finds ways to get it done. So I think he's working with what he's got, and I think he's a really good coach. He's a great coach. Yeah, absolutely. How do you let go of that guy?
They now have Jalen Waddle. That's big. It's a nice.
Well, yeah, they added the offense now this year. Yeah.
PJ's boy Bo Nix. Tell us, is Sean Payton going to help Bo Nix this year be better than your average 27-year-old rookie?
Well, I don't think it's going to be necessarily Sean Payton. I think it's going to be Davis Webb, the offensive coordinator, who they basically just told, you're not going to be the head coach here. So more than likely, we're going to see Davis Webb depart from Denver eventually, Well, you saw it last year, it looks as if Sean's kind of given up more of that play calling role, giving it to Davis. And, but you lock up, you lock up this coach, it doesn't hurt your salary cap. Owners can spend whatever amount of money. I mean, raise your, beer and soda prices so that you can, pay for your coach. It's an important part of, football. But I do think Sean Payton, I think Bo Nix is going to see similar to what he did last year. I think last year he had a very good season. That was a little bit of a bit of an oversell for him. So if he comes out and has a 31 touchdown, 10 interception season, and he, leads that team to the playoffs again, I think that's a huge success. I think it really confirms, we did the right thing with Sean Payton. But you lose Davis Webb. And, was it worth that? He's supposed to be the next young mind, another Kyle Shanahan, a Sean McVay, things like that. So, I mean, you could have mixed feelings about this. But I do think that, Bo Nix is going to have a similar season where, last year you bring Jalen Waddle in and, not much has really changed there. So.
I'm going to be a douche and say this. Bo Nix next year or Baker Mayfield, who finishes better fantasy?
I got to say Bo Nix. I love Baker. Don't get me wrong. Love Baker, but I think he's on a bit of a downward trend. I know losing Mike Evans last year was a big deal for him. But, again, Mike Evans is gone. So, Igbukah is a really good player. I know Nick thinks that Godwin's going to come out and have an incredible season. But no, I'm riding with Bo Nix, man. I think that what he's doing there in Denver, I think he's finally kind of figured it out. I think he's finally figured out that he belongs in the league and all those things. So confidence is growing, offense is growing, recipe for success.
Matt, is Sean Payton a first ballot Hall of Fame coach when the time comes?
Bill Belichick isn't even a first ballot Hall of Famer, so.
But that's because of the girl that everybody hates now.
That is true. That is true. First ballot. I don't know. It's really hard to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. When you talk about first ballot, you're talking about Jerry Rice, talking about Randy Moss, you're talking about Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, those types of guys. I don't know about first ballot, but considering what he did in New Orleans that one year, not just what he did on the football field, but what he did for the emotion of that city coming back from Hurricane Katrina, I think he's definitely going to have a gold jacket one day.
That's fair. The moment was big there, and those moments do add up to Hall of Fame. He's definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame. It's just how long it's going to take.
And now he's finding success again in Denver. I mean, that's not a coincidence. This guy Definitely knows what the fuck he's doing.
Okay, and from football to basketball in the news segment, we got a little bit of news today that might be new. It might be something that some people suspected, but apparently everybody on the Celtics is on the trade block aside from Jason Tatum. Nick, should Jalen Brown be included in that?
You mean Jason Tatum? Yeah.
Should he be on the block?
Jason,
Should
I
Jalen
don't
Brown
see
be?
how-
Should Brown also be on the trade block or not?
Well, I mean, my thing is, how is Jason Tatum not on there if you put Jalen Brown on there? I don't get how you put Jason Tatum a tier over Jalen Brown. That doesn't really make sense. And it's kind of crazy just to put everybody on the block except for one guy. It's kind of a wild statement. I would be taking offers from everybody, right? You know what I mean? What if you get an offer for Jason Tatum and you can't refuse? Why would you say that guy's not on the table?
But you'd rather have it be put everybody up rather than say, no, just include Jalen Brown in the people who can't go. Like, just them two can't go, anybody else is, or like, which one do you think is a better idea? Like, letting everybody on or taking those two off the table?
Maybe they're playing some game to where they can get more for Jason Tatum by making the statement. I don't know. It doesn't sound. It doesn't make sense to me because Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum are on the same level. I kind of like Jalen Brown more than Jason Tatum. You know what I mean, he's a better defender.
Money's a factor,
and I mean they're both getting paid. What, they got to be on similar contracts, huh?
a lot.
Yeah, they're both
top.
They're max, super max.
Yeah, they're those super maxes.
Yeah.
As a Sixers fan, I hate to admit this, but the Celtics are probably one of the best run franchises in basketball, if not all of sports. So I just kind of trust that they're doing what it's going to work out. Everything always works out for the Celtics. I bet you they come back next year with a team of whoever in the top 3 in the East. And that's enough basketball for today. We're going to go to fantasy offseason moves. Which players changing teams have created either the most new additional fantasy value or maybe had less value now because of their move? Let's start off with PJ. Give me who's your player that you like from this offseason or you don't like that changed teams or had a different situation?
Well, I'm going to go with someone that I like, and that's DJ Moore. I think that going from Chicago to Buffalo was a huge step up for him. I mean, you look at last year, he had a solid target share, nowhere near a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 in output. 85 targets, 50 receptions, just under 700 yards and 6 touchdowns. The one thing that really stuck out to me was the target share differential between the Bills and the Bears. The Bears had 5 players who had 60 or more targets, where on the Bills, Khalil Shakir was the only player to have more than 60 targets. He had 95, and then the next guy down was Keon Coleman with 59. So common sense would say that DJ will inherit the majority of those targets. So realistically, maybe he's looking at 100, 110 targets with Josh Allen. One thing I did want to touch on, though, is how DJ will take over as a primary target in the red zone for Josh Allen. Caleb was more of like a drive extender rather than a pure finisher in the red zone. Josh Allen is a high leverage red zone finisher. Caleb did have higher volume in the red zone, though, 72 attempts where Josh only had 65. However, if you dig deeper, Caleb and the Bears only averaged 2.7 yards an attempt in the red zone, where the Bills were 4.3. Caleb had touchdown efficiency rate of 17%, where Josh was at 25%. Caleb inside the 20, completion percentage of 53% with a 19% touchdown conversion rate. Inside the 20s, 62% completion rate with a 27% touchdown rate. Josh, on the other hand, is 65% completion percentage with the 25% touchdown rate inside the 20. 70% completion percentage inside the 10 with a touchdown percentage of 35%. So DJ should flourish having a quarterback like Josh. Caleb and the Bears would spread the ball around a little more with the guys that they have. Rome Odunze kind of stood out as a red zone guy for them last year. But DJ will certainly be the primary red zone target for Josh, which would equate to higher efficiency for DJ in the red zone as well as more targets. First in NFL red zone efficiency since 2020. The Bills, they're first in third down conversion rate since 2020. Top 6 scoring for 6 straight seasons. DJ's reuniting with Joe Brady, who he was with in Carolina. And he's historically shown that he could be a wide receiver 1. He's got 4 1,100-yard seasons. DJ is a borderline wide receiver 1. More likely to be a wide receiver 2 in terms of production this season. But Josh is definitely going to create some stability for his production this year.
That is a massive upgrade at quarterback. And I didn't even see the fact that he is going back to his old OC, essentially. That makes a lot of sense that they traded a second-round pick for him then.
Absolutely. He needs that. You know what I mean? I mean, he doesn't really have it ever, they don't want to put they love James Cook. James Cook's a huge target for him, especially in the red zone too, but they never really gave him that number 1 guy.
He's
they
also the
draft
kind
these
of
Deion
receiver.
Colemans and
He's the kind of receiver that needs the vibes behind him. It felt like when he was with the Panthers, he knew he was an undisputed number 1 receiver, and that made him play harder and all that stuff. And then when he was the Bears, when they started getting Roma Deans in a crowded receiver room, and he wasn't treated as you're the guy at wide receiver here. It was there was the effort we saw last year. When he was running out of bounds or walking out of bounds, when the play was still going on, when people were looking for a receiver downfield, he just wasn't trying. So,
which was good for the Bears.
Here,
that was good for the Bears because Luther Burden emerged.
My question about it, though, is it seems like the opportunity's there for DJ Moore to have those red zone targets that you're talking about, but he's never really been a great red zone receiver himself. If the opportunity's there, that's one thing, but is he actually going to convert on them? Last year was his best year in terms of red zone success. But even in saying that, he had 20 targets last year, which put him top 10 amongst all wide receivers, but he only converted on 2 of them, which was the least amongst all wide receivers with at least 15 targets. So he just doesn't have the build to me to be that red zone guy. And I know the opportunity's there, but is it his opportunity in that space? And in fantasy, it's really important to get those touchdowns. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's my big question.
I think Josh Allen kind of creates the difference there.
I
said, we're talking about a difference between him and Caleb Williams, where Caleb Williams kind of gets a little erratic when it comes to the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
You got Josh Allen, who also creates, they have their red zone offense is so top tier because they have so many different ways of getting the ball into the end zone. And I think DJ Moore coming in here just kind of creates this dynamic version of the Bills in the red zone. And I think Josh Allen is really the main reason why, you're going to be able to see DJ Moore getting the ball in his hands, at least, because he's going to have a competent quarterback.
And it's also really great that this is something that you usually can't depend on when you see a player going to a new team, deciding what the offense is going to be like. Joe Brady was already their offensive coordinator. He's now their head coach. You don't have to wish on what's the offense going to be. It's going to be probably what Joe Brady was already running.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the familiarity
that red
thing
zone
is very
going to
big.
be a similar red zone offense.
Mm-hmm. He played his best years under Joe Brady. If I'm not mistaken.
And he's also a vet. He's a veteran. He's not some young guy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's been in the league long enough to know what he's got to do to get himself prepared. He's been on this is this third team now, so it's not like he's not used to switching. And when he switches, he does perform at a high level, off the rip.
That first year.
And then things might fall apart for him. But in this situation, though, for him, I mean, there's really not a whole lot of competition against him. I think Hardman was the other guy they brought in. He's not going to create any much of a battle for him. So, yeah, I think that it's going to be, he's probably going to have one of his better years this year, in my opinion.
So how far down are we downgrading Shakir then, too? I mean, he was a wide receiver 2 last year. He had, what would you say, 95 targets? So
95, yeah.
Yeah. So he's not going to get 95
When's the last time
right?
Josh Allen had a top tier fantasy wide receiver? Stefan Diggs, right? How long ago was that?
Yes, absolutely. Stephon Diggs in his 4 years with the Bills averaged 160 targets.
Yeah, he was. Oh man, he was fantasy. He was definitely a top fantasy guy back then.
And
It's just
okay,
been a
so
little while.
the attitude of Stephon Diggs versus the attitude of DJ Moore, who's more of a diva?
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy one.
Because if DJ Moore is up there in divaness, he's got to get at least 130 targets, right?
No. I don't think he's that kind of guy. He seems like the clip I can think of DJ Moore was when Cam Newton was or it was Steve Smith, and he was like, "Yo, it was like his rookie year. He was like, "Yo, I got you on my fantasy team." He was like, "But I don't know if I should start you on my flex or not." He's like, "Should I start you?" And he's looking at DJ was like really young in the game. He was like, "Yeah, man, start me." But he seems like a real
Why would you
chill,
even say
mellow guy. I don't think it's Steve Smith. He's a wild dude. That was a funny clip.
Well, Steve Smith's the man.
Yeah.
Steve Smith was never getting less than 130 targets. That would be blasphemy. All right, next person, Nick. Who you talking about? Off-season changes.
All right, this year I'm a fan of David Montgomery. He just went from being the Gibbs's backup and running that role for a few years, and he's in a position now where he's going to see his. I'd like to see his snap percentage increase a lot this year. Last year he had a career low in his snap percentage, but he's doesn't have a lot of competition with Marks as being his backup. Marks is more primarily a receding back, and so there's a good chance that Montgomery can be a 3-down back in this offense. What I really like that Houston did this year is they re-signed their right guard, Ed Ingram. Last year, at one point in October of last year, he was the highest blocking grade lineman in the NFL. He had a real hot streak to start the season. He was second in the league with an 86.1 run block grade. So his big strength is being a run blocker. They also brought in Wyatt Teller from Cleveland, who's he's known to be an elite run blocker. Now he's getting older. He's dealing with injuries the last couple of years, but when he's at his best, he's one of the best run blockers in the game. So they really beefed up the line there. And they got a second-year tackle who's talking a lot of good things about him in OTAs this year. So, yeah, I think that with that offensive line was bad last year. They were the worst in the league.
Yeah.
So really, I only see improvement. They can only get a little bit better. You know what I mean? And I think the main focus that they're building is they got to have a run game. I think they need to, and with a back like Montgomery, you could just pound the ball with them. I think he's in for a good year this year.
And so last year, just looking at where the Texans were in the red zone, because Montgomery is big in the red zone, like that's always been his thing, as the 1B in Chicago and even in Detroit. Last year, Houston 55% pass, 45% run in the red zone. I think that's going to change probably, right? Like
When you
with
get
the
a guy
additions that
like
you're talking about?
Montgomery, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to look. Marks, he only stepped into that full-time role because Mixon went down, and when he was drafted, he wasn't drafted as a 3-down back. That's not what he is. He's a pass catching back, so you think, all right, we may see him a lot on third down. But here's another big kicker to it: is he's not a great pass blocker. So the times that you ask for that back to stay in and protect, he's not it. And you know who is it? David Montgomery. He's one of the better pass protecting backs in the league. So that gives Monty a real opportunity to see more carries this year. There's just not a lot of competition, I think, with Marks being that guy. He's going to be that guy who's going to come in and catch some passes and stuff like that. But,
that would be huge if Montgomery gets in on those pass downs and then gets some more like passing attempts because of that. Because I mean,
if I'm not
you're in the backfield with
mistaken,
Gibbs,
I'm pretty sure that last year they both finished with a similar amount of receptions too, Marks and Montgomery. So I mean, like,
which is crazy because Montgomery missed time and was 1B to Jahmyr Gibbs. Who's
people
like
had some success with the pickup of Marks last year, but I just want them to remind themselves that the only reason he was handed the job was because of injury, and he had a old, broken down Nick Chubb, who was his competition after that. You know what I mean? So he just got handed a role, and I think he proved he had a 3.6 yards per carry last year.
Yeah, it's not great.
Disgusting.
Not great, Bob.
No.
So are we saying you think Montgomery will be top 15 running back? Is he going to be a RB1?
I think the ceiling is RB1, but I think right around that area I would put Montgomery. I'm not going to go.
Let's give some comparisons. Montgomery or Travis Etienne?
That's a good one. I like Montgomery though.
You're
I like
going Montgomery or DeAndre Swift?
Yeah, Montgomery. Yeah, because you got Mahogany taking
Montgomery
away from some
or
of
Bucky
that.
Irving?
Montgomery.
Yeah, Montgomery. Because you got the thing about Montgomery is he can lead the league in touchdowns.
Yeah, he's a power back. If
He does.
if that Texans offense is good,
they've been missing that person. You know what I mean? I remember what Mixon did when he got all of the carry. You know what I mean? He was always fantasy around there.
Montgomery or Kyrie Irving?
And who?
Montgomery or Kyrie or Kyron Williams. Why am I saying Kyrie Irving? Kyron Williams.
That's tough.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. But the thing is, the thing is, there's more competition in that Rams backfield than what Montgomery has. Like Blake Corum, he gets a lot of carries himself. You know what I mean? And with fantasy, a lot of things comes down to snap percentage in fantasy, and the idea here is Montgomery is going to have a big share of the load. He's at that age, you run him into the dirt.
Montgomery or Javonte Williams?
Javonte proved it last year that he had a great year last year, but I mean,
he's only done it once.
Yeah,
Montgomery's been a consistent performer for his whole career.
He has.
He's got a very
he
high
absolutely
ceiling.
has.
Who are you taking?
He also ran behind one of the best offensive lines the last few years.
I'm going to take Montgomery, and here's the reason why. Houston last year only had 49 running attempts at the goal line within 5 yards. And that led to them having a 42% touchdown rate in on the goal line. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's bad. You got to score better than
that.
So
now you bring in a power guy who you could tell, historically, he can get you 10 touchdown plus seasons, and a lot of them come from the goal line because he did it as a goal line back.
It sounds like we have Montgomery as a borderline top 10 running back, at least opportunities wise.
I like what the OC said last year. Starting
if we're going to put him over Javonte.
I like what the OC said last year too. He said everybody on this team is going to block. He was talking about the wide receivers. Like he's a physical. He believes in physicality, and they got two guys out wide that are good blockers as well. Nico Collins is a good blocker, and Higgins, I believe.
All right, I'm going to give you one more. Montgomery or Chase Brown?
See, now Chase Brown adds the extra. He adds that extra pass.
Yeah.
He's getting them extra targets. So when we were talking about, especially PPR, because if you're not doing PPR, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Which you should be doing PPR. Yeah, something's wrong. At least half PPR.
Yeah, I'm going to take Chase Brown just because of the offense that he's in, and he's got to be a security blanket if they can't protect Burrows.
Again, how embarrassing would that be?
If are they ever going to protect that guy? Yeah.
He's just always going to be just getting rocked. I mean, they re-sign Joey, the old man. He's the man.
Yeah.
They got Flacco. Just in case. He can do it. All right, Matt, who's your guy? Who's your offseason changer?
Andrew Luck all over again.
I think we could be looking at a new star in this league. 25 years old, Kenneth Walker. 25 years old is the prime for running backs. You don't see a lot of Derrick Henrys who are 32, 33 having success as a running back. Running backs' careers are short. You got a guy who ran a 4.3840 in college, 5'9", 211-pound beast. He was a first-team All-American at Michigan State. He won the Walter Camp Award. He won the Doak Walker Award. And when you get a Super Bowl MVP, it gives you a level of confidence that you can't value enough. Kenneth Walker could make a Pro Bowl this year. You got Patrick Mahomes coming off of a torn ACL. Somebody's going to have to shoulder the load while he gets back to his true form. You don't just come off a torn ACL and get back to 100% right away unless you're Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
There's not much competition with Kenneth Walker. You got names like Brashard Smith, Emmett Johnson, Amari DiMercado. Kenneth Walker is likely going to be the feature back on a very competitive Kansas City Chiefs team. Kenneth Walker in the past never really had a chance to be that guy. He split carries with Zach Charbonnet, and Zach Charbonnet was very productive. He had 8 touchdowns in 2024, 12 touchdowns in 2025. I think with Kenneth Walker, we could be looking at the closest thing to Jamal Charles under Andy Reid. In 2013, Jamal Charles had an unbelievable 374 PPR points, which included a 59-point game against the Raiders with 5 touchdowns. It's the same coach. Kenneth Walker could have a Jamal Charles-like season. You look at Kareem Hunt's rookie year in 2017. He had about 1,300 yards. I think that's the floor, and I think slightly below Jamal Charles is the ceiling. You look at the Chiefs' offensive line. There's a lot of expectations here. They ranked in the 90s on Pro Football Focus. You have Josh Simmons, who was a 2025 first-round pick. He's shown that he can hang with anybody as far as pass protection goes. I think he had some personal issues and maybe a few injuries last year, but he projects to be a solid tackle. You got Kingsley Suamataia. He's probably one of the weaker linemen, but he has shown at least more baseline competence. Creed Humphrey. I mean, he's putting together a Hall of Fame career. He's making $18 million a year. I think he might be the highest paid center in the league. You got Trey Smith playing right next to him, a dominant run blocker. The Chiefs' offensive line will be able to pave the way for Kenneth Walker to have a good season. Kenneth Walker had 221 carries and forced 61 missed tackles, which is amongst the best in the NFL. There's not a lot of weapons on this Chiefs team that's going to take opportunities away from Kenneth Walker. You got Rashee Rice. He's facing legal issues. Xavier Worthy, he's more of a complimentary piece. He's not a true one. He's more of a speedster than a true number one. Tyron Thornton, I mean, he's probably like an 81 in Madden at best. Yeah, and then you got an aging Travis Kelce, who's quite frankly more worried about Taylor Swift's pussy than scoring touchdowns. So I think overall, Kenneth Walker could have a great year. It could be a breakout season for him. That's my take.
PJ, you got a rebuttal. What is it?
Well, what I would say is you mentioned Kareem Hunt's rookie year. That really was the last time a Chiefs running back was an RB1 in fantasy football. And another thing is Eric Bieniemy was in an interview the other day and he was asking, how's Kenneth Walker doing? And, first off, Bieniemy wants to revamp the running game. However, he's not going to overlook the blocking ability of Kenneth Walker. You need to do everything without the ball in your hands. You know what I mean? So that could mess with him a little bit, but I think he will pick up on the run blocking. But another thing is that he had about the same amount of targets as Brashard Smith last year.
Yeah, he was not.
And that's your number 3 guy on the depth chart, So can he equate into a receiving back? I think if you look at his numbers last year too, he really wasn't this stud. He turned it on in the playoffs. But you are right with the offensive line. I mean, I think Creed Humphrey's the best center in the league. So it's definitely an upgrade then from that Seattle offensive line.
And when we talk about with wide receivers, you talk about. Go ahead, Nick.
I mean, I kind of agree with Matt though, in the sense that could they run the ball last year? Like that. The question is like, were they able to run the ball? I don't know that it's not what they wanted to do is get away from running the ball and like focus on, the pass catching ability of your running backs and stuff like that. I think that if you have the ability to run the ball, you're going to run the ball. Now they got a guy in Kenneth Walker who can run the rock. You know what I mean? I think the last few years, I would like to think they tried to find a back that could do it. They had Pacheco and he had that crazy injury. I think they just keep, failing at that part. And that's why I think they had to go out and get a guy like Kenneth Walker is because they haven't.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire isn't getting it done.
Yeah, those guys they really weren't getting it done.
Well, I hope to see Kenneth Walker get 300 touches this year. I mean, he kind of deserved it,
I think so.
But
it's another one of them situations where there's not a lot of competition though.
There's not.
I know the one guy gets a lot of
the
one guy gets a lot of targets, but that's by default because they needed to use that guy last year. Who else did they have to work with? You know what I mean? If you got a guy like Kenneth Walker who's a 3-down back, you feed the man, especially if you're paying him.
Yeah, like with wide receivers, we talk about vacated targets.
Million.
Yeah, I mean, you need to get a lot of money. And with wide receivers, we talk about vacated targets, like vacated carries on the Chiefs. Pacheco's gone. And almost all of their actual productive carries were from a now coming off an ACL tear, Patrick Mahomes. So, like, those aren't going to be for him anymore. So, like you said, he's going to get a bunch of touches, which for running backs, that's what you want. All right, let me put some players up here then. Are we going Kenneth Walker or Breece Hall? Matt, you first.
I think Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker is an RB. He's ranked RB 11. I think he projects slightly above that.
Kenneth Walker or Josh Jacobs?
Well, it's a little up in the limbo right now. Jacobs.
Yeah, we're gonna have
let's say that
I would give Jacobs that. If let's say he plays all year, I'm giving it to Jacobs.
Kenneth Walker or James Cook?
James Cook.
Probably Cook.
Kenneth Walker or Marion Hampton?
I love
I'm a Hampton guy.
Hampton.
Yeah, Hampton, baby. It's
Matt.
I'm sticking with Kenny, man.
Over Marion Hampton?
I think so, yeah.
Big year for Kenny.
Kenneth Walker or Ashton Genty?
The Gent man. I'm a huge Genty fan, but no, man, I think the Chiefs are well coached. I think Kenneth Walker has a breakout season. I think he's a Pro Bowler this year. I think, just if you look at the guy's athleticism, I mean, that 4.3, 840, like that's ridiculous. If you run a 4.3, you belong in the conversation for the Pro Bowl.
I gotta say, for one thing, Pro Bowl means nothing anymore. All pro or bust. Like there's so many backup quarterbacks. And
all that means is you definitely don't have the Chiefs going all the way.
Yeah. Well, he didn't say he's gonna play in the Pro Bowl, but like still, I would say all pro matters. So you got Ken Walker as a top 5 running back then, Matt. Is that what we're saying?
I would say top 7, top 8.
What about all right. Ken Walker, Devin A-Chain.
A-Chain can't stay healthy, so I would go with Kenny Walker.
Kenneth Walker or
you're putting him in the top 5. You see this, right?
Yeah, like everything you're saying means top 5.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to find 5 backs that you're putting below.
What about him versus Saquon?
I must have missed the math. No, definitely not as good as Saquon.
Christian McCaffrey?
Not as good as Christian McCaffrey.
Derrick Henry.
I think him and Derrick Henry, I don't know, man. I mean, is Derrick Henry going to be able to do it at this age? I mean, he's got so many
I would never
miles.
doubt Derrick Henry. We've been saying that for the past 6 years with Derrick Henry. It's
he's only kind of got better.
This guy. Derrick Henry is, he somehow ran for 2,000 yards at like 31.
Is he going to be the all-time rushing yards leader in the history of the game?
I'm going to say yes, he wants to go for it at this point.
He's got like 50, he's 5,300 away from Emmitt Smith. So he would have to play till he's
got to play as long as Emmitt Smith.
That's 3 more seasons, including this one. That's 3 more seasons.
3 more elite seasons.
Elite, yeah.
I'm
not going to bet against
seasons.
Derrick Henry.
to have
I'm not gonna
3
bet against
more
Derrick Henry.
elite seasons.
What's that? 1,200 yards each season.
He needs to have like 3 Emmitt Smith Arizona Cardinals years
Yeah.
after
hang
he
around.
has like 2-3 more 1,000-yard seasons.
So you're saying he's had 3 good seasons and then 3 like, all right, it's Derrick Henry. We got to keep him in
Yeah.
the league, though.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson type thing.
Is he willing to do
Yeah.
that? I think so. I
For
think
the
Derrick
record,
Henry's
I
willing-
think he
yeah, I
is,
think
yeah.
he'll go for it.
Yeah.
I don't see why not. Is the thing. Like,
Right.
if you're that close to a record like that, you have to go for it, right?
Yeah, I mean, he could be a top 5 running back of all time. If you look at the top running backs in the history of the league, like number 1's Jim Brown, number 2 is Walter Payton, number 3 is Barry Sanders, and then number 4 is Emmitt Smith. And then that fifth running back spot could be a Derrick Henry conversation. I mean, you got Marcus Allen, you got Marshall Faulk, you got LaDainian Tomlinson, you got Adrian Peterson. Why not Derrick fucking Henry?
Yeah, I could see putting Derrick Henry over all those people.
He needs a ring. Ruggs, Henry Ruggs.
You want to talk about Henry Ruggs? I don't think
I wanna
anybody
talk about
really
Henry
wants-
Ruggs.
Can I brush your teeth?
No, Kayla.
Say your prayers.
Henry Ruggs offseason is probably the worst of anybody's offseason possible. Henry Ruggs is not getting out of jail.
I'm seeing a
he's
victim
done,
here,
dude.
man. Henry Ruggs did not mean this. I mean, you got the guy who was the guy screaming
Ruggs.
gambling addict. He doesn't get in trouble. Henry Ruggs makes a terrible mistake.
He
He's in
killed
jail.
someone.
And their dog. It's like if we were in
You
the
know what I
John Wick's
think?
universe, Henry Ruggs would be dead.
Hey, you know what I've been
Yeah,
teaching
Nick
my
Saban
6-year-old?
would be
You
dead.
love animals.
Actions have consequences, you fool.
They
Yeah.
do.
You
But
can't
Absolutely.
kill
it's
people.
the intention. I mean, this guy who was the
you can't
gambling
kill
addict,
someone
he
being a victim.
intended. It
What
was
do
an
you mean?
accident, man. Like, are you going to take the prime of this guy's career away because he made a horrible mistake? I mean,
That
he
guy
didn't do
had
this shit
wait.
on purpose.
It's a pretty
Sorsby
horrible
has a
mistake.
Sorsby has a disease, dude. So let's take it easy.
Nothing.
Before-
He's got a
Yeah.
disease. He's got a disease the way Randy Marsh had a disease in
Nah,
South
he's got a
Park.
big head. And he kept getting.
He's
He
got
was
a
the mush.
disease.
They called him.
Yeah,
He thought
I
he
mean,
thought he was in. He thought he was beating the program.
Mush is
like,
the
he
mush
had
is
a
live in the
stepbrother.
chat.
what is Henry Ruggs being in jail doing for the victim's family? I mean, if Henry Ruggs was in the NFL, he could be making money. He could be donating money to the family. He could be a productive member of society. I don't see much upside in him rotting away in jail.
If someone ran over one of my family members, I want his ass in jail.
If a drunk driver killed my dog, I would
Yeah.
I would be like, nah, 3 years ain't enough, bro. You gotta keep going. You need at least one more. All right, back on topic. No more Henry
I don't know, man.
Ruggs,
You gotta wonder, man. Is the court system biased against Henry Ruggs?
from and what court system bias against that. We're not gonna
This
bite
guy
on that
made a
one. That's-
mistake, man.
Matt,
This guy
everyone
was-
who runs over and kills someone typically goes to jail.
Let's not
On
focus
that
on what
note-
happened. Let's focus on intentions. It was a mistake.
On that
I
note,
mean,
let's focus on an Alabama wide receiver who actually is in the NFL and isn't kind of a horrible person in Jalen Waddle.
Didn't kill a
Devonta
dog.
Jalen Waddle is my choice of this is a player who, just to think about, moving from the Dolphins and what was a terrible offense towards the end of his time there to what we just talked about, Sean Payton, and a pretty good offense. They got a great OC who's expected to be the next Kyle Shanahan, apparently, the next McVay. He's got them drawing on plays for him. And so when I look at wide receivers, I love looking at target share. Last year in the Dolphins, he was around 20-21%. The on Denver Broncos, you got Cortland Sutton there. He was around that 20-22% mark. And then you have Troy Franklin, who's around 18%. Troy Franklin, I think when you spend what they spent to get Jalen Waddle in there, that his target percentage is going down to the low teens at best. And you're going to put Jalen Waddle in there and the low to mid 20s. And I think in 2025, he finished the 102 targets, 64 receptions, 910 yards, 6 touchdowns. I think he's going over all of those numbers under Sean Payton, having paid all the resources they paid to get him in there. Bo Nix needs a really good system around him. Bo Nix can use those two guys. I think Cortland Sutton is the red zone weapon, and Jalen Waddle between the 20s is the guy that they go to. He's going to get at least 120, 130 targets. That's going to put him over the 1,100-yard mark. Touchdowns he might not get to double-digit touchdowns, but he's going to get enough targets, enough receptions for that to matter. In the Sean Payton offense, there's usually at least one guy who gets a bunch of receptions. They don't have that guy yet. So Jalen Waddle could be that guy. I think I'm going to put Jalen Waddle over. Let me see some receivers in his. I'm putting Jalen Waddle over Lab McConkey. I'm putting Jalen Waddle over DK Metcalf. I'm putting him over Jamison Williams. I'm putting him over Romeo Doubs. I'm going to give him like a wide receiver 1 ceiling and a wide receiver 2 floor. Everybody's on board with that. Tell me.
I mean, the only thing that scares me with Waddle is that when Tyreek Hill went down, he didn't really step up and be that alpha. So, I mean, that's
Tough
really the
situation.
only thing I think of. Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
It's
You got
because the
Tua.
Dolphins were a dumpster fire by that point. Nick, you're on mute. The Dolphins were a dumpster fire by that point. They didn't give a shit about their coach. They hated him. They weren't listening to him. He didn't really care either, obviously, by his interviews.
QB's got a
I
brain
mean,
injury.
and is he just going to completely take that much away from Cortland Sutton, who's been there and done that with Bo Nix for years? They got chemistry. It's hard to say that Waddle's just going to come in and supplant
Well,
everything that
1 year.
you know.
Bo Nix was there for 1 year. He's got 1 year of chemistry ahead of him.
Is
Well,
Jalen
and you also
Waddle
got
an
Evan
elite
Ingram
athlete?
there, who had a high volume of targets as well. So, how much
Jalen
is he
Waddle,
gonna pull
yes.
from him?
Jalen Waddle, I'm saying yes, is an elite athlete, and I'm saying I think what they're going to do is like I don't think he's going to take. It's not
What do you
necessarily
mean, Bo
going to
Nix
take
1
from
year?
Cortland Sutton.
He's been there for 2 years.
2 years for Bo.
Yeah, Bo's been there for 2 years.
All right, Bo Nix 2. Okay, so they have 2 years of chemistry. I think Jalen Waddle can make up with that right off the bat. I think. I think they're going to compartmentalize.
I think Waddle's the superior wide receiver, but my question is, does he just come in as the number 1 and take so much away from chemistry? I mean, Cortland Sutton is more of a possession receiver than Waddle is. Waddle
Right.
is more of a
For sure.
take the top off type of guy. You know what I mean? So
I think
he's
Cortland
the
Sutton
better
is more
player.
of a red zone receiver.
Definitely
What scares
a red
me
zone
is
guy, yeah.
what scares me in that Denver offense and stuff like that. To me, Waddle is the better, like real life player to fantasy player. If that makes sense.
That's
Like
true.
he's gonna help that. He's gonna help that
But-
team in real life be the guy, but be very good. But I don't know that you're gonna see that kind of impact.
I think a big part of that is he was playing with Tyreek Hill, who deserved all the targets and everything, so he vacuumed everything up. And also, he was in that offense where that's how he was used. I think.
Yeah, it's a totally
if-
different offense. Yeah, right.
Well, Sean Payton uses.
No, you're right.
he
I'm
uses
sorry. I'm
receivers.
saying
He gives them targets. Yeah. He can, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm saying it's
I think
different
he's
than
going to
what
be
McCain
used
was.
so differently. And I think when I talk about taking targets away, I agree with you. I don't think he's going to take them away from Cortland Sutton. He's going to take them away from some of the running back targets that they get because he's going to get a lot of those underneath those underneath crossers. Instead of going to running backs, they're going to go straight to Jalen Waddle. And I think that he's going to get those, take the top off the defense that Troy Franklin had last year, that he had relative levels of success with, in different weeks. Sometimes he did great with them, sometimes he didn't. He wasn't consistent. So
the targets will be there for him. You know what I mean? Look at that Denver run game. That hasn't really changed much either. So,
But is it top tier targets? That's the type of
I'm
stuff we're
putting
looking for.
Waddle
drafting Waddle?
as a sleeper wide receiver 1. He could be taken in the third, fourth round. That wouldn't be crazy. If you're talking auction, I'd spend maybe. If you're in a league, you get $200 in your auction. I'd spend $20 on Waddle. I'd spend $30 on Waddle probably if you have to, depending on where the run comes.
I think that's fair.
And then okay, any other, just a rundown of the list. I'm just real quick. I'm gonna throw some players out there, and you say had a bet got more fantasy value this off season or less. All right. And we're gonna go round robin to everybody. I'm gonna start with PJ. Mike Evans moved from the Bucs to the 49ers.
I'm going to say yes, he has more value.
Matt?
I'd say less value. A lot of.
Damn it.
I don't know.
agree
That's a
with
tough
him.
one.
You
I'm gonna go
less.
I agree with Matt. I'm totally wrong.
I don't
Yeah,
like
a
this
little bit
game
less.
because if I find myself agreeing with Matt all the time, then I'm just wrong. He's too much. But
And you're off. You need to adjust.
Yeah.
You need to
I
adjust.
have
You're becoming
to-
wise. You're becoming
it's
wise.
it's almost like the same situation. It's like Mike Evans trying out a new system. It's like how often I just don't. He's not like in his prime anymore, right?
Yeah,
So
he's
it's like,
old.
is he going to come in and just take over wide receiver number 1 duties? I don't.
He's
think
gonna be the
so.
Jennings. He's taking over the Jennings targets.
Right.
Yeah, but
All
they're and you're giving him what? Christian Kirk's the guy coming in, and then you got Ricky Pearsall, but I see Mike Evans being the number one guy over there. Brandon Ayuk, you know.
Yeah, but he was the number one guy at what's it called, at Bucks his whole career. But it started to like Ibuka was starting to make his way in there last year, and it was starting
Instead
to
of
take
1,200, he was
they're
getting.
starting to take a different round. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if CMC's there. Is CMC gonna get another 130 targets? I hope
Yeah,
not.
So,
They don't-
yeah,
That's
he-
another
they probably
thing. You
should.
take those targets away from him too.
They probably should. All right, Wandale Robinson from the Giants to the Titans.
Yes, much better situation, I think, for him.
Cam Ward.
How he
Lead
got
on talent.
how many opportunity? When he's got more opportunity at Titans than he did at the Giants. I mean, he
No,
got
there's
given
no
all
way,
types of
probably, right?
opportunity at the Giants. He had between injuries that happened around him. He was put in every situation to shine there at the Giants, and he failed. And what's crazy is the coach. What he vouched for him. He didn't even use him. Who's the coach there?
Well, he did when he had to.
Who's the OC? Giants head coach last year. The hell?
Dable.
Yeah,
Brian
so
Dable.
Dable obviously vouched for Wandale to come
Wanted
down
him.
here to the Titans. But how much did he even use him when he had him at the Giants?
Who has more targets next season, Carnell Tate or Wandale Robinson?
Carnell Tate.
By a lot?
I mean, yeah. I'm not necessarily. I can't go in that route. But wide receiver one would
Did they
be
both get
Carnell
100?
Tate. I'm not sure how they're gonna run their. I don't know. I don't know how the target share goes there.
Is their O line anything remotely decent? The Titans.
Probably
I
not,
mean,
no,
I
not
don't
that I've
remember
heard.
them doing shit.
You guys are acting like Wandale Robinson didn't have a pretty good year.
No, he had a great year. He had a great year last
yeah.
year.
I mean, he got 140 targets last year. If he gets that
Yeah, but
again in Tennessee,
what-
I mean, he's still going to be.
What did he do with them?
But I think he has a better situation here. I believe more in Cam Ward than Jackson Dart.
That's true. I mean, obviously everybody else does too, because Cam Ward was the undisputed number one pick and Jackson Dart was not. They were in the same
Yeah.
draft. All right, Rico Dowdle. PJ, start us off.
No.
That's a tough one. He goes from a committee to a committee.
Yeah. I'm going to say he's kind of in the same situation. Like if an injury happens, he's going to, it's going to be a huge boom for him. But it's just, I think he's more in that flex situation. So I'm going to just say he's kind of right there where he was last year.
Matt, better or worse? Rico Dowdle.
Rico Dowdle. Just gonna piggyback on what PJ said.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Rico Dowdle. It's still Jalen Warren's.
Rico Dowdle does this every year. Nobody's a fan of him, and he does some crazy stuff for 3 weeks. It's insane.
Yeah, 3
Right.
weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, I mean, if injury happens, you might see that,
Yeah,
That's
he's
what's
a-
great
he's a-
about running backs. Waiver wire is always popping off.
All right, and now we can move on to draft strategies. So we go from the offseason moves to some draft strategies, which should, incorporate a little bit of these offseason moves. Which draft strategies have been most effective for us in our past? We're going to go for a couple of main questions. We're going to start with PJ. I want to hear a quick basic overview of what your favorite draft strategies are, or just any that kind of stick out to you that you use.
I'm typically a hero running back type of guy. I think that it's tougher to find that running back one than it is to find a wide receiver who becomes that wide receiver number one or is already a wide receiver one. But when it comes to the first round, I'm always best player available, whether it's the best running back, whether it's the best wide receiver. I mean, if that's your guy, you need to go with the best player right there. Another thing about like the running backs is like if you get your one running back and then you kind of push off the next 3 rounds for like a wide receiver or maybe even a quarterback in there, that number 2 running back for you, like there's a lot more injuries for running backs than there are wide receivers, it seems like. So you have that opportunity there to bring a guy in.
Like a Rico Dowdle.
Exactly. exactly. So, and then when I go to, I'm more of a late round quarterback guy. It worked out for me in the past. Last year, I took Drake May later round, it was a auction league, so I didn't pay a whole lot for him. And then actually in a snake draft, I took him way late. And I mean, that worked out for me. If you look at years prior, with Baker, and then you see even before that, Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, in 2023. So if you could find that guy, I think you could find that guy for cheap. And also, quarterbacks are pretty rotatable as well. You know what I mean? You don't have to have that guy who's going to come in and hope that he's going to perform for you every single week. You could rotate guys based on matchups, based on defenses, based on secondaries, things like that. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's really best player available early, get your running back, and then figure out the rest.
What do you think is like the worst strategy?
I think honestly, it's that elite quarterback strategy. Go out and get a quarterback right away. I think that you can wait on a quarterback much easier than any other pick. Like if you're gonna, and this is like kind of in the lower level leagues, but you'll see like a Josh Allen go number 1 overall, and you're just like, I get it. You look at the stats, he scores a lot of points, but you're not really getting the whole value situation there with that. Then taking a Christian McCaffrey, so.
Yeah, the difference in points per week between the tier 1 quarterbacks and tier 2 quarterbacks is not usually it's not worth it. Whereas the tier 2 running back or tier 1 running backs versus tier 2 running backs is massive. Like that's so different. And even with the receivers, it's a little closer together, but it's still a bigger difference than if you're going to take like a Mahomes, which there's always somebody in the draft who, it's Mahomes. Like I have to pay a ton for him versus a Bo Nix where it's like, he'll get your points. He'll get your points that you need.
Yep.
Do you think Gibbs or Bijan Robinson, who's going to have a better year? Because the Falcons have the 4th easiest schedule, and then the Lions have the 6th easiest schedule. So, out of those two guys, I mean, if I have a top 2 pick, I'm looking at Bijan, I'm looking at Gibbs. Who do you take?
Can I sleep in your bed?
I'm going with Gibbs, just because his utilization or his opportunity share last year was crazy low for how well he finished. And I mean, it raised up towards the end of the season when Montgomery was hurt and they were really relying on him. But like his opportunity share as a running back should go up like crazy. And that's just going to be insane. Like if he can get 25 touches a game, which like if you have Gibbs, you should give him 25 touches a game.
The athlete that he looked like last year was just insane from the year prior. It's so like he totally grew up over the offseason. I mean,
also he's a better quarterback. He's got a better quarterback. So like, while that doesn't necessarily matter directly in the sense that they're going to be throwing him the ball, even though they are going to throw him the ball because they're receiving back. Just having a better quarterback means that the defense isn't as likely to just key in on you the whole game.
Right, like Bijan. I mean,
although
Bijan's great, man.
Yeah, Bijan did. I mean, Algier's gone. He was the bane of Bijan owners' existence last year. Was Tyler Algier, and he is now gone. So, like, he's also kind of freed up a little bit.
Bijan
had 370.
Montgomery's gone now too, though.
Yeah, they both lost those guys that
Gibbs
kind of had the training wheels.
I also feel like the position that the Lions are in is they need to rely on Gibbs more than they've ever had to. You know what I mean? And that team's
both teams have a good offensive line, though. Both teams have a good run blocking offensive line. So it's I think there's they're in pretty similar situations. Definitely. And they've been doing it for longer.
Across the board, yeah.
So you think Gibbs could be the number 1 guy this year in fantasy?
Easily. I would. I mean, if I had to, I might even project that. That seems like a pretty good probability. It's tough to vote against Jonathan Taylor, though. I mean, Jonathan Taylor as your hero RB. Who's PJ? Who's your favorite hero RB? Is it one of those 2 people that we just talked about?
Well, typically Christian McCaffrey. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is just a walking touchdown. It seems like
he's a walking touch. I mean, if he's going to get 129 targets, let alone carries happening, like that's even. I haven't talked about it. If he was just a receiver, that's a lot of targets.
He was first in fantasy points by 40 fucking points last year.
That's insane.
Yeah. But I did have that one situation with him where I took him 2 years ago.
He tanked your whole season.
Yeah, I mean, they pulled that bullshit where they didn't announce it till 5 minutes before a Monday Night Football game.
And like a week before, they said like, "Oh no, he's gonna play. He's fine. He's totally.
Yeah,
It's good." Guys.
and then he didn't play for like 4 weeks.
JK out for the season, basically.
I mean, when's McCaffrey gonna fall off? I mean, what's he like 30, 31, like
No, he's 29.
29.
Who would you say is the lowest ranked, the worst hero RB that you would accept? Brees Hall, Derrick Henry,
Probably Kenneth
Saquon?
Walker for me.
Kenneth Walker. He's still good enough to be a hero RB.
Well, just in terms of his
Obviously for
situation,
Matt, he
yeah. I
is.
mean, he's a solidified number 1 running back, so he's definitely worth taking. But there's so many other guys that I would take over him.
How does that over Kenneth Walker? He's like the lowest rated
Let's say
RB1
he's
that you would
running
say
back
is your-
12 if you're in a 12-man league, or you know what I mean. Like he
James
really
Cook?
would be. James
Is he
Cook's
hero
definitely
RB?
over him.
You think he's a hero RB? Let's name, I'm gonna name some
Absolutely.
RBs. You tell me if they're a hero RB or not.
Yeah, James
Javonte
Cook
Williams,
Javonte Williams is, yeah.
Devin A-Chain,
Javonte
The injury thing
Williams is?
scares me.
Javonte Williams is? Hold up.
so he's not
The
one.
one,
Just based on
I mean, the 1 year I'll give it to him.
No, just based on having 1 year.
you think Javonte Williams is
Off
it?
of last year, yeah. I mean, the numbers that he put up, yeah. That's a guy who
Opportunity-
can carry you.
Opportunity share at 70%. He's getting he doesn't have much competition, right, in that backfield.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, you don't think so? You wouldn't put him up there?
Cowboys. No.
Josh Jacobs,
I'm not.
hero RB?
I'm not super high on Javonte.
Let's say
Williams.
again, assuming he plays.
No,
Josh Jacobs not a hero RB.
he's a running back too, in my opinion.
Brees Hall is a
Javonte
hero RB.
Williams is a one.
No.
No,
Javonte
because of the Jets.
Williams
Because the
over-
stink coming off the
over-
Jets. They just
No.
paid him so much money, though. I feel like they have to make him that. Yeah, that is kind of crazy. You're saying Javonte Williams is, but Brees Hall isn't? I can't get on the board with that.
Brees Hall.
No,
Okay.
Josh Jacobs.
No, I respect the opinion. Respect Josh Jacobs. Yeah. No, I would over Javonte Williams.
I would say Brees Hall over both of them.
No way.
Yeah, Brees Hall's a pretty.
Okay, he's on the Jets, but they don't. Who else are the Jets going to give the ball
I'm not
to?
saying it because I mean he's just running back
Brees-
too, my opinion. Brees Hall.
Running back to Brees Hall. Oh my God, dude, Brees Hall. Okay, this is one that producer Rick, you're gonna have to write this one down because I'm saying
Write it down.
Yeah, but
I'm
hold on.
saying-
Here's the thing. I feel like running backs are back. Like, remember how for years it was like this pass game is taking over. Now it's starting
Committee.
to roll itself back. Yeah, now it's starting to roll itself back to where like the list goes deep of running backs that have potential to do some big years. Like how many? I know 1,000 yards isn't really.
Yeah, now with
the
17
same as
games,
what
that's
it
like
used to
40,
be.
50 yards a game. So it's got to be 1,200. 1,200 is the new 1,000.
I mean,
Now you got guys
Javonte
that
Williams
can
last
catch
year,
the ball.
1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns.
Now you got guys that can catch the ball too. So
Brees
you're
Hall is a
adding-
better receiver.
I
Are you
think
guys saying?
Saquon's getting overlooked, I think.
Well, I mean, I think Saquon's a given as far as hero.
Yeah,
RB. He can be
Saquon's
hero
a
RB.
hero running back.
We're talking
even
about
after last year.
borderline hero RBs here. I think Brees Hall is a hero RB, and if you're gonna say Javonte Williams is one, you can't say Brees Hall isn't one. That's crazy. And Josh Jacobs, Brees Hall is above both of them on my board.
Right.
Yeah, but the
So
problem
I'll
is
chisel it into my desk right now.
or when you're saying hero, that's the top 12 running backs in the league.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I think a hero RB is the
Guy you
definition
take in the
is
first round.
it depends on it depends on who you are. What the definition is, I guess. If PJ's saying who you take in the first round, I think definitely you could take Brees Hall in the first round. But I would say hero RB is the guy that you can depend on to be like,
I don't know. You're saying taking the first round amongst
Go
all
ahead.
positions, or amongst
Brees Hall and
running backs,
Javonte Williams
taking-
had the same amount of receptions last year.
on a
Well,
down
I
year by
think Brees
Brees
Hall's
Hall
better.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
On a year by Brees Hall, that'd be
243 attempts, 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's your
Who?
running back one.
Yeah, but he had his worst
Brees
year.
Hall.
Look at everything around him last year.
I don't care what it.
Brees Hall is
Like,
a young running back. He's on the upswing. Javonte Williams is on the
Javonte Williams
just
also
got
just
paid
had a.
for a reason.
They both just got paid. They both just got paid.
They just got paid.
They literally both just got paid.
But
I
still.
just think that, and I think the Jets are going to have to depend on Brees Hall a lot more than the Cowboys will have to depend on Javonte Williams. Simple. The Jets, they have Garrett Wilson. That's
He's the
great.
main focus. That's why Javonte Williams.
Yeah, that is a
Brees
point.
Hall.
That is a good point.
That's
Well,
why
yeah, Garrett
Javonte
Wilson
Williams
keeps
is
some
able
focus off him.
to excel.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson. He's got,
No,
he's got double
you're
Garrett
right,
Wilson.
but he has the quarterback throwing it to him. And I don't love Dak Prescott. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah, you only got to worry about him
What about-
throwing interceptions. That's not affecting Javonte.
You just
What
don't
about
have to
Chase
worry
Brown?
about.
Where does Chase Brown play into all this? Is he a top 7 running back, top 5? Like,
I'm a Chase Brown lover. I love Chase
yeah,
Brown.
I mean, I think
don't
he's
care
the
about-
hero to you, right?
He's my hero.
he put
I
up
love
numbers
Chase Brown.
last year.
I
Yeah.
think that in that offense, if we can protect Joe Burrow and we can keep that offense rolling and the offensive line doesn't suck, Chase Brown will be a top 5 running back.
And he's what, 70 receptions last year?
Yes, and he
69.
should have.
I got it right here.
69 for
receptions.
437. 5
My
touchdowns.
God,
Yeah.
he did that on
While
purpose.
getting
too.
232 carries. I mean, he's definitely in that conversation. I mean, he's got almost 1,500 scrimmage yards.
So
I
are
think
you
it's
taking
tough
Chase-
to. It's tough to call him a hero RB just because I don't think he's ever had a proven hero RB season yet, and I think most hero RBs you want to see that before you depend on them for that role.
Right.
But I do think that he will have a hero RB season this year.
What would you consider a hero running back like profile? Like
1,200
stats?
plus yards, at least 50 receptions, and at least a 70% opportunity share in his offense, so he's not challenged, and he's got to have at least 10 touchdowns.
Fair.
Those
Monte
things have to
Williams
happen.
pretty close to all that.
So Saquon or Chase Brown, who you taking? If you're in the second round, you got it. Chase
I don't
Brown.
think you're getting Saquon in the second round. I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's happening.
Chase Brown had 50 more points last year than Saquon.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think Saquon had a down year last year. I think the offense was trash. Good thing that guy's gone. But
this year,
guys, the
Saquon
whole
probably
first
better than
round
Chase Brown,
isn't
right?
going
As
to
much
be
as I
running
love-
backs.
Right. This
guys
is
keep
true.
that-
Yeah. So he could fall in the second
We
round,
have
depending.
Bijan,
Saquon
Gibbs,
I hope Saquon falls in the second round and
CMC,
he's drafted in.
Jonathan Taylor, James Cook. We can all agree they're going to go higher, right? That's 5 running backs right there.
I don't
yeah,
know
Yeah.
about James Cook.
A-Chain.
I think James Cook's
I
another
mean, he's in the
walking
he's
touchdown.
in the offense. Yeah, and he's in the offense to do it.
He definitely is. He's not the receiving
Yeah.
back. He don't get third. He doesn't like. Part of the problem is he doesn't get third downs. Right.
No. I had him as a hero back, I think, in one of my drafts last year.
Omarion Hampton, hero back. You guys love
Yeah,
him. Every time I say
I
his
love
name,
him
you guys
so
are like,
much. I got it.
I just
don't
love
know.
this. I just love this situation. It's the guys that are going to be blocking in front of him. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the Chargers have the potential to be one, if not the best offensive line in the league. One of them. They're going to be.
I feel like we say
studs.
that about the Chargers every year. That every year they have injuries. or
They
something
had
happens and they don't
two
have it.
major injuries last year. You can't bet on that.
All right, so let's go down the list of hero RBs that we've come up with. Is Ashton Genty a hero RB? I mean, he had an 84% opportunity share. That's crazy.
What are you
They didn't
shaking
add
your head
anybody.
for, Matt? What are you shaking your head for? Of
I
course
just
he's
don't
the
think
hero running
Genty's
back.
proven enough. I don't know if that situation makes it is a hero.
Their offense is absolute garbage. They did get
yeah.
the best center in the NFL.
What
They
they
picked
really
up the
need
best
is Henry Ruggs back.
Oh my god, dude! Are you serious? I don't even know if I wasn't his contract.
Henry
canceled
Ruggs,
because he went to prison?
He
I don't
takes
think
the
he's-
top off, and next thing you know, Ashton
breached
Genty's
contract.
fucking gone.
Fucking
Oh.
justice system's messed up.
Henry Ruggs. Like, there's so many Alabama wide receivers you could be talking about, and you will not stop talking about Henry Ruggs of all of them. He never proved himself. He never did anything special in the NFL.
Dude, that team sucks. I don't
Yeah,
know how
let's-
Ashton Genty.
That's fair.
I don't know how Ashton
On
Genty
that-
has
on
a
that
good year
note-
this year. How does he have a good year this year?
You don't
They
think at
have
all?
good-
By
no
getting
wide
84% of the
receivers.
opportunities.
We saw what happened with him last year when he had all
Fernando
that.
Mendoza, baby.
Right.
Oh
Yeah,
my
The
Fernando's
pride
back.
of Indiana.
I
Coach-
think that actually is the perfect segue to my question for Nick on statistics and draft strategies. Is it better to draft for the highest floor or the most upside? Because Genty, I think, has a very high floor because he's going to get 80+% of the opportunities for running backs in that offense. I'm not sure what his upside is because their offense is trash. So Nick, it sounds like what you're saying is screw highest floor and go high upside.
Yeah, I find myself always in the early rounds going for upside. You spend all off season doing your research and everything like that. So at the end of the day, all these rankings don't mean anything going into it. You got to find your guy that you like and the guy that you want. The ranking doesn't mean anything. Look at just last year alone. Look how high people were on Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb. Those guys
Yeah.
were big time misses. Even Saquon was
Lost.
a real miss last year. And then you find guys like JSN. He was drafted on average 34. Jonathan Taylor was drafted at 17 last year. CMC was drafted at 7. People, every time people go into and they think, this is the year he's going to get injured again. It's going to happen again. You look what he did. Genty was a big miss last year too. So, for me, in my earlier rounds, I'm always drafting upside because I feel like I've done enough research, and the guy I like is the guy who's going to have a big year. And in the mid rounds, that's when you draft for the guys that are going to secure your roster, better, higher floor guys. You know what I mean? That's where I find myself doing. Because then the later rounds, I go back to upside. It's like, what sleeper can I find that's going to shock everybody and come in here and be big for this team?
The Raiders
So-
added some linemen. When they added Tyler Linderbaum from the Ravens, they added Spencer Buford from the Niners. Colton Miller's healthy. I mean, that's reassuring for Genty. At least he's got
Oh
his
yeah, I mean
line.
it can't be worse than last year. You just saw clips last year where the guards were running
Yeah.
into each other, and Genty had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah,
he
at
was
one
getting hit
point
5
he had a
yards behind the line of
negative.
scrimmage.
He had a negative first hit
Right.
number where he was getting touched by the defense
Yeah,
on
always.
on average,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah, so
insane.
that can't
There's
happen
nothing you can
again.
do about that.
Yeah.
All right, so if we're going high floor, high ceiling, I'm gonna give you a high floor player, a high ceiling player. So I'm gonna go high floor is Courtland Sutton, high ceiling Roma Dunze.
I like Rome.
You're gonna take Rome
Yeah.
over Courtland Sutton?
Yeah, in that
Yeah, getting
offense.
DJ out of there.
DJ's out of there. He's the new guy. And people love Luther Burden, but he's also more of a specialty player. I don't know that he's gonna have. I think Rome's more of their guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is.
If we're going, would you call Jamison Williams more of a high floor or high ceiling? Because
High
he takes the
floor.
top off the defense and he gets a lot of
Jamison
passes,
Williams?
but he's
He's a high floor guy. He's not a high ceiling guy. I can't imagine that he's going to get some crazy target share.
Yeah.
Amon Ra just
Amon
takes over
Ra's-
that off.
Yeah, he's getting so many targets. That's just not what J-Mo's
Here-
thing is.
Here's a high floor, high ceiling. I think George Pickens is high floor because now he's going to have CeeDee Lamb there. So it's not, I don't think he's going to be able to get, he's not going to be the focus unless there's an injury. Emeka Egbuka, I think, is a high ceiling because it's his second year with Baker. He could break out and be the guy. He could take all Mike Evans targets and Chris Godwin could just be the 1B or the 2. Are we taking Egbuka or George Pickens?
Pickens. I'm taking
I'm going to go
Pickens, too.
Egbuka.
I think Egbuka too. I think
Yeah.
for Pickens, I think Pickens is going to fall off this year pretty heavily because CeeDee Lamb is not having that.
Right.
I
And he's,
don't know.
it's kind of been a bit of turmoil with it so far. They did tag him, but
Yeah.
like I said in another podcast, Jerry Jones is not the type of guy who's going to tell you what your true value is. He's always going to undersell it and piss people off. So
Are you trying to say that George
All right, here's
Pickens had
another
a
one.
good year last year because CeeDee Lamb had a down year?
Because CeeDee Lamb missed a lot of time, and by
He
the
got
time
hurt.
CeeDee Lamb came back, it was already established in the offense to the point where it's like, all right, let's not rock the boat. This offense is doing well with him there. We're going to keep getting him targets. Whereas I think when they start off the year together, it's going to be more of a let's make sure that each guy gets the amount of targets they need to get, rather than we're flowing the offense to Pickens because that's how it's been so far. I think his targets are gonna drop off. Not crazy, like he'll still be top 30 receiver. I think so, but he's not gonna be top 10. Am I crazy for saying Pickens is gonna be a top 10 receiver?
No.
No, I just
CeeDee
feel
Lamb
like
could be a top 10
I-
receiver.
we talked about this before, and I feel like you guys put CD way above who Pickens is, and I don't think that's.
Yeah, he is. He is way above who Pickens
I think
is.
Pickens.
He's at a completely different level of
I
receiver.
think Pickens' biggest problem has been his character issues. No, I think that's more the
that's
risk
not over.
that you have with him. I don't think it's what he does on the field.
But Jerry Jones ain't going to help that fact. So it's, that's not going to change.
Yeah, just because he hasn't pulled a Micah Parsons yet doesn't mean he won't. He could complain if things start to go downhill, especially for if the Cowboys season doesn't go well, or if let's say first 5 games of the season, for whatever reason, CeeDee Lamb's dominating and Pickens is not having a season like he wanted to have. Is he gonna be quiet? Is he gonna just behind the scenes voice his concerns, or is he gonna start to be a little vocal? We're gonna see some Steelers Pickens back in here.
In the 12 games that they played together, CD had 74 catches, Pickens had 68 catches. It was 116 to 99 in targets in favor of Lamb. I mean, it's just not that big of a difference. This isn't Amon St. Brown to J-Mo. This is two guys that are right there. They offer different things. Now, you could do a lot more, I guess, with CD.
Definitely.
So he's going to have he's going to have a slight edge in targets. I believe that. But Pickens is that guy that can go get you 12 touchdowns this year. You know what I'm saying? Like Pickens is the type of player that can score, I believe.
Dak's going to get his stats.
Yeah, Dak could be in for a big year this year.
In the regular season, I'm sure. Just as usual in the regular season.
Yeah.
All right. So some 2 more receivers: Jacoby Myers, Michael Wilson, Rashid Shaheed. Rank them for me, Nick.
Michael Wilson.
Jacoby Myers now was in the Raiders. Now in that revamped Jags offense that PJ loves so much. Michael Wilson, maybe fight with Mark Jr.
Yeah, I think
you
Michael
got him
Wilson
over Mark Jr.
Yeah, I heard he's gonna be. I believe they said he's gonna be the X receiver in that offense, and I think Michael Wilson. They said from what I read, they have. It's Michael Wilson, Devontae. Marvin Harrison is going to play the Devontae Adams role in that offense.
Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's not.
Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to play that role, and Michael Wilson is going to play the Puka role. It's from what I heard, so I like that. And I like BJ. Brian Thomas Jr. too. That's his. I still believe that's his.
So you think Jacoby's not going to get as many targets as Michael Wilson probably will?
Yeah, I'm going to call Michael Wilson.
And then Rashid Shaheed got 3rd just because he's with JSN.
Yeah,
they traded some draft capital to get him over there.
They did, and he did his thing. And I think that's another guy it's just more of a. It's easy. He's a good real life player. I don't think that he's a top fantasy guy. You know what I'm saying?
JSN's gonna get a lot more attention this year too.
He is, but he gets open. He's one of them guys that they draw him open, and he's give him all the attention you want. He's gonna find his way.
Well, as we're talking about, high and low players, I just wanted to bring up which stats are most important in finding valuable players. I think we've been talking about 2 of the stats that I think are the most important: target share, which is the percentage of a team's total passes directed at a specific receiver. So we've been taught when you're looking at target share. A team's target share is not great. That's a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. I'm talking about fantasy wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. Whether you're in real football, it might be up a little bit. When you're in the 20s, that's when you're starting to be a person who can be dependent on. Low to mid 20s target share wide receivers. You're talking about guys like, let's see, Cortland Sutton was 20%. Deebo Samuel was 21%. Keenan Allen was 21%. McCaffrey was 22%, which is wild. Pickens was at 22%. But when you start getting the mid to high 20s, Chris Olave, 26%. Wandale Robinson last year, 26%. We talked about how that's because
He was handed it.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's why Wandale Robinson was good, because of the volume. So when you're looking for players, when you're looking at stats that you want to find a good receiver that might be a little bit undervalued, I don't know if I would use that stat for Wandale Robinson because he changed offenses. He's not, like we said, he's not going to get as many targets as Carnell Tate. And we got to see how good Cam Ward's going to be. But like Zay Flowers, 28%. Like he was getting targets, and they didn't add a receiver who should be taking targets away from him. That might be a guy to look at. Jamar Chase, 29%. And at the top, of course, JSN at 34%. So when you're looking for a receiver, Tet, you talked about this, PJ, in the last episode, 24% for Tet McMillan. He was the offense for the Panthers. It's probably going to be similar there, too. Whether the offense is good or not, he's going to get targets, especially if you're in like a PPR league. At least you know you're going to get 7 to 10 receptions to bolster that, even though he might have 40, 50 yards and no touchdowns if the offense isn't as good as they want it to be. When you're looking at running back stats, looking at opportunity share, which opportunity share is the percentage of the running back touches when that's touches and targets that go to your running back. I talked about Ashton Genty already. His was is 84% last year, which is crazy. Jonathan Taylor's at 84%. For running backs, those hero back guys are the guys who are going to be in the high 60s to 70 and above. Bijan Robinson was at 69. Derrick Henry was at 70. Breece Hall was at 72. McCaffrey was at 77. Saquon was at 80, even a down year, and he still scored points. So when you're looking for people who might be guys that are undervalued, try to find guys who get the opportunities. That's all. Fantasy sports, fantasy football, all about the opportunities. If they're going to give you the ball, the offensive coordinator is telling you, this is the guy that I want to have the rock in an important situation. I think Montgomery, Nick, some of you brought up earlier, he's going to have a pretty big opportunity share this year because, like you said, Woody is not going to be like pass blocking that much out there. Montgomery is known around the league as a great pass blocker. That's like the thing that he does that gets him on the field, that gets him keep getting those opportunities. And that's to get him to have those opportunities, and he's going to have like no competition for touches. Are there any stats you guys can think of that you pay attention to other than like target share, any opportunity stats, any efficiency metrics?
For running backs, all-purpose yards. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, if you see that they're getting, a decent workload. If you're at 1,500 yards as a running back on all-purpose yards, you're pretty much elite as a fantasy player.
Yeah, more being good with the touches than just getting them, because there are plenty of guys who get touches and don't do anything with them. I think last year, Alvin Kamara is a great example. I mean, I love Alvin Kamara as a guy, as a player in his career. Last year was not the Alvin Kamara we've come to know and love. He got volume, but he wasn't a league winner like he usually should be. That's another one where the Saints backfield is going to be tough. What do you guys think about the Saints backfield with Etienne and Alvin Kamara?
There's still some questions about Kamara, isn't there? About what they're going to do with him? No, I thought
if he's going to still be on the team.
Yeah, I think there's something with his he wants to be there. He doesn't want to play anywhere else.
Yeah, obviously.
But it's almost like I think there's a question about if he's going to be on the team or not.
I mean, they just gave Etienne a big contract, so he got $52 million, I believe, for 4 years. So that's telling Kamara who they're prioritizing. That's not a stat, but if you're going to look at behind the scenes at some information, somebody just got whose contract is more long term is who the team is probably going to give more carries to.
When you're looking at metrics, I like that you got to look at the red zone targets and stuff like that too. It's a big one. Understanding who that team is focusing on when they're getting to those scoring opportunities. Yeah, another one I like looking at running backs, the yards after contact per attempt. That's a good one, man. It's to see how hard of a running back how hard they run the ball. You know what I mean? And one thing I used to live by is falling forward. You know what I mean? Always just gaining that extra 1 or 2 yards, and yeah,
that was the Nick Stevens way. That
Just
was
fall
the,
forward.
that was the reason it was okay that he ran a 4.9.
Just fall forward.
Just fall forward. He's got three yards on every carry.
Yeah, just fall forward. All you gotta do is gain 2 yards and you're good. Just fall forward.
Showtime Nikki Stevens. Shout sight
So sorry.
for all of our German listeners.
Pop home play.
All right. Any last takes for anybody? We can wrap it up there. We gave you some great stats. We gave you some offseason guys to look at.
Matt's
talked
got
about,
something. Matt's
is it going to be about Henry Ruggs again, dude?
He's
Are you going to
holding
bring
it
up
in. He
another
wants to say
Henry
it.
Ruggs topic? He just wants to get Henry Ruggs out of jail is what he wants.
Matt, what do you got, dude?
Nick said you were holding back a take.
I know
wanted to
you
put
got
out before
something
we
that
end the
you want to
episode.
say. You just say it.
No. I'm like trying to figure out like who is going to be the Trey McBride of this season. Like, what team is going to be good that no one sees coming? Like, is it Dallas? I mean, is there a possibility Dallas is really good
Cardinals
this year?
are.
I mean, are the Ravens possibly going to? Is
Trey
Derrick
McBride
Henry
your
going to be?
team.
What?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I didn't hear you.
I just meant Trey McBride success and the success of the Arizona are
Yeah, Arizona sucked.
Arizona
terrible.
sucked, and Trey McBride was a great.
Yeah,
player.
McBride was really good, but
Yeah. But I mean, he's not going to have. He might not even have his boy Jacoby Brissett this year because he's throwing a fucking.
But I like where Matt's head was at.
Yeah, like who's
how
the guy?
do you find the next Trey McBride? You know,
There's always every single year. There's like one or two things
would
that
s-
you just don't see coming. What is it this year? What are we missing here? Like,
I think early on you look at opportunities. You look at the first 3 weeks because the preseason doesn't tell you anything. Like camp's not really going to tell you much. The first 3 or
Right.
4 games, if you can see who are they forcing the ball to, like that's who you want to go. Like Trey McBride gets targets.
yeah,
Like, Trey McBride is a guy who got the ball. Like they wanted to give it to him every single time.
right.
So you'll find out.
well, I think that's a good example there of why, another great draft strategy is, or, a fantasy strategy in general, not a draft strategy, but, I spend all my waiver wire money in those first 3 weeks because I feel like that's really the best value on the waiver wire you're going to get. You just see it off in the first 3 weeks. I mean, I save a few for injuries and whatnot, but that's where you find your Trey McBride,
Yeah. I mean, is there a chance Devonta Smith is like a top 5? Like, is Devonta Smith the guy that's going to emerge? Because I'm looking at him. I mean, he's got the talent. He's going to get the targets. We got the O-line. Maybe Devonta Smith has like 15 touchdowns this year.
15.
I think the room's too big for that.
Yeah, too
Yeah.
many mouths to feed.
I don't think they're going to pass enough for Devontae Smith to get that. If Devontae Smith has 15 touchdowns, that means the Eagles' record is probably not that great.
Maybe.
Oh, we lost Nick. All right. Well, that's
Didn't he get
that's
a new computer?
yeah. We need him to get a real computer. Like we need to get Nick's technology up to snuff. This guy is living in 1990.
Here's an outside the box thought. Okay, so who might get injured this year?
I don't even want to talk about that. You can't.
It's a huge.
Absolutely not. We will not talk about that.
I mean,
that's like the worst.
Pet
I
karma.
don't even want you to say it. Yeah, that's the worst karma you can possibly. I'm not putting that kind of karma. We're gonna end it before Matt says anything else ridiculous. Thank you, everybody, for listening this long. If you're still here, I love you. Thank you very much. And don't forget, check out Fantasy Sports Concierge, fsconcierge.com. Check out our services. Minutes from today's meeting will not be distributed. League office is adjourned until next time. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for stopping by. Visit fsconcierge.com.